I welcome all of you once again to this lecture series on Bhagavad Gita organized by Wisdom Intellectual Forum Puri. This is the ninth lecture in the lecture series, and we have with us Professor Pramod Kumar Das. As usual, there are a total of 30 lectures in this lecture series, and all of these lectures will be delivered by Professor Das. Today, Professor Das will be delivering a lecture on karma, Vikarma and Akarma, the karma dynamics. Well, in the last lecture, Professor Das during his lecture on the secret of karma yajna said that our so-called actions or karmas are actually not actions, they are rather reactions. If these actions are not free from the past dispositions, past memories, past thoughts, or past perceptions, or past agents. So, as long as our actions are not free, the actions cannot be righteously be called as actions. He made it very much clear that all those actions which are done with a sense of duty, keeping the context in mind, are in a real sense be called actions. That is, the actions done with a sense of duty and at the same time having a clear picture of the context in mind do serve as actions. Now today he will be speaking on karma, vikarma and akarma, but in the last lecture itself, Professor Das has given a hint to this lecture as to what this lecture would be like. He said in the last class that karma means the good karmas, the positive karmas, and akarma means all our bad actions or say wrong actions. They constitute akarma, sorry, vikarma, and akarma means actions that are done without any desire for the fruits of action. So that's how he has briefly hinted out about karma, akarma, vikarma and akarma. So karma means good actions, vikarma means bad actions or wrong actions, and akarma means the actions done without any desire for the fruits of the actions. So this is the brief introduction to the lecture that we are going to have from Professor Pramod Das. Now, without wasting much of the time, let us all move to Professor Das for his lecture on karma, vikarma and akarma, the karma dynamics. Over to Professor Das now. Thank you everybody for attending this. Over to Das, Professor Das.
Am I audible, sir?
Yes, sir, you are audible.
Thank you. Respected Dr. Rao, very esteemed participants of this session, respected members of Wisdom Intellectual Forum Puri. Today we have a very beautiful topic, that is Karma, Vikarma and Akarma. We shall discuss that. In the last session, we are discussing about reaction and action. And I had submitted that mostly we are engaged in reactions, though we claim that we are doing actions. Reactions of anger, reactions of jealousy, reactions of greed, reactions of our propensities, our tendencies. And we mistake a reaction to action. That is how we disturb our individual life, social life, collective life. We live in our personal world. As we know that though the physical world is same for all, but we live in our own personal worlds. Personal world because the world of our reactions, the world of our tendencies, the world of our vasanas, the world of our responses. So the moment we are thinking over the dynamics of a karma as karma, vikarma and akarma, we shall start from vikarma. All actions which are prompted by such propensities, tendencies that we really know that is only reaction. Such actions are not accepted. Such actions are forbidden. Such actions are prohibited. Because we should not act anything out of anger, out of any such tendencies. If we do that, then definitely that action is a bad action or prohibited action, or we should not do that. The action that we should not do is vikarma. The actions which are prohibited by scriptures. Suppose if we follow the authority of the scriptures, then there are certain prescriptions in scriptures, what should we do and what we should not do. Contextually they may differ. Contextually the norms may vary from context to context, but there are certain general prescriptions about do's and don'ts. So the actions which are forbidden by, which are prohibited by, which are not accepted by scriptures, not prescribed by scriptures, which are not conducive for a healthy society, which are detrimental for the society, we should avoid that. We should not follow that, and that is called vikarma. And all reactions will come under that. And 90% of our actions belong to that category, though we claim that we act normally. Even our love, either we love somebody, if out of love means infatuation, out of moho, we do something, that is the reaction of our infatuation. If out of anger we do something, that is also the reaction of our anger. Therefore, Lord Krishna advised to Arjuna that you should fight only to protect dharma. You should fix your goal. What is your goal? What is your intention? That intention determines the stature of our action. Don't act, don't fight out of animosity or out of love. Don't quit the war fields out of emotion for your relatives because we are going to fight against your relatives, therefore you are quitting. No, that is not a good sign for a fighter. That action cannot be entertained. And if you are fighting out of animosity, taking the opposite party as your enemies, that is also not conducive. That means you do an action only in the sense of duty, only for lokasangraha, only for protecting dharma. Therefore, raga, moho, krodha, lobha, all these are preconditions, tendencies which determine our actions and which should not be. Which should not be. That means our actions should be free from all these propensities or proclivities, vasanas, tendencies. Then we shall categorize such actions as a vikarma, which we should not follow. Then comes karma. That means when we speak of a vikarma as of the karma of this type, then naturally it follows the karma which is free from all such tendencies, all such preconditions, all such detrimental conditions, that is called karma. Karma means the good karma. Now the point is whether that good karma is the cause of our bondage or not. Suppose I did something good, whether I shall be chained with bondage or not, whether good karma is the cause of our bondage or not. Can I get liberation by doing good karma? This is a very important question. Suppose I am doing a bad karma, I am doing a scripture prohibited karma, I may be entangled with bondage. But suppose I am doing a good karma, I am doing some charity, I am doing a noble work, that karma will bind me or not? That is the question. So here we can divide karma again into three types, mainly three types. There are many categories of karma, mainly three types. That is nitya karma, naimitika karma, and kamya karma. Let us categorize good karma or karma into three categories: nitya karma, naimitika karma, and kamya karma. Then what is in the serial we should discuss first nitya karma, naimitika karma, then we should go to kamya karma, but we shall discuss now kamya karma first. Nitya karma means daily duties. Naimitika karma means occasional duties, and kamya karma means desire oriented duties. Desire oriented duties. Any action that is prompted by, that is motivated by our desire, that is kamya karma. That is, it has been originated out of a kamana, out of a desire. I desire to do something, then I did something. I desire and I did. So desire is the cause and action is the result. So every action is the child of a desire. If there is a desire, it leads to an action. Then, if we shall compare the Kamya karma with our Nitya karma and Naimitika karma, and if we shall think deeply into these three types of karma, we shall see that when we are doing our Nitya karma, suppose I am brushing my teeth, or I am bathing, or I am when I am performing my daily duties in my home, there I do not desire to do all these things. What is the problem of desire? Desire leads to two things. Either it leads to lobha, or it leads to krodha. If one desire is fulfilled by any way, then we desire to enjoy the same thing again and again because it is fulfilled. Suppose I have a desire and it was fulfilled, then I become satisfied, the matter is over. No, the matter does not end there. The desire multiplies. One desire leads to many desires. Suppose the desire is not fulfilled for any circumstance, for anything else, for any reason, for any limitation, then it leads to krodha, that I am dissatisfied. I feel frustration. So this is the result of a kamya karma. If our karma is prompted by a desire, desire is necessary, because without desire we cannot do anything. But if we hang over by that desire, if we mathematically calculate that desire, and that desire becomes so intense, that becomes our character, that enters into our thought, we reflect about that desire again and again. The desire manifests into action, and after getting the action, again we repeat that desire. Such desire is our problem. Such desires bind us. Such desires are not that desire which is necessary for an action. Desire for action is necessary. But if a desire leads to multiple desires and that binds us into the chain of desires, then that desire should not be entertained. And this problem takes place in case of kamya karma. But now we shall compare it with our nitya karma. Nitya karma is also karma. Every early morning I brush my teeth, and I also desire to brush my teeth, and I also fix my time. Not that daily at 7 a.m. I shall brush my teeth. No, it may change. I may brush my teeth according to my convenience, and I have a desire for it. But after brushing my teeth, I do not repeat it. I don't desire to brush my teeth again and again. That means I am free from that desire. I desire, but I enjoy the freedom. That means I am not bound by that desire. Suppose I bath, and after bathing I do not bath again. But this is also karma that I do every day. This is a karma that I do every day, and that karma is prompted by a desire. Yes, I desire to bath. Suppose today I don't desire to bath because I am suffering from fever. But after 3 days, 3 days, I was not bathing. So now today I desire to bath. Yes, okay, I went to bathroom and I bathed. But after bathing, I do not bath again and again. Here, this desire does not disturb me. After brushing my teeth, I do not brush my teeth again and again. So in Nitya Karma, I am engaged in karma, I am engaged in actions, but I am not engaged in the desires. Similarly, in Naimitika Karma, occasional duties mean certain social obligations. Suppose there is a marriage function or there is a funeral ceremony, there are so many social obligatory duties are there that we perform occasionally. But suppose we attend one occasionally we attend a marriage ceremony, we desire to attend, but after attending it, we do not desire to attend it again and again, because if we are attending a marriage ceremony, it is very costly. We have to give some gifts. We have to arrange many things for this. We have to take leave from our service. We arrange many things to do that, and we have a desire for that, but we are not bound by those desires. That means in Nitya Karma we are involved in karma, and that karma is also done by our desire, but we are free from desire. We do very sincerely. The moment I brush my teeth, I do it very sincerely. And in brushing my teeth, I also enjoy. 2 minutes or 3 minutes or 5 minutes, I enjoy. But it has an end. The action ends at a point, and I do other works. Similarly, in Naimitika Karma, I attend the rituals, the social obligatory duties, but that does not create further desires. But what happens to us in case of a Kamya Karma? If we shall be trained to do all of our actions like our Nitya Karma and Naimitika Karma, there will be no problem. But there is another category of karma which is really our concern. That is Kamya Karma. That means some karma, some actions, they originate from our passionate desires. Passionate desires means the desire, the one desire leads to many desires. If it is fulfilled, we are bound. If it is not fulfilled, still we are bound. We are bound by its results. Results of a fulfillment and results of a unfulfillment. Results of satisfaction and result of a dissatisfaction. So Nitya Karma is not a problem. Naimitika Karma is not a problem. The problem takes place only in case of a Kamya Karma, when we do something out of expectation, out of a desire. Now, many philosophers claim, many thinkers claim that consequentialism, those who believe in consequentialism, they think that utilitarian thinkers, they claim that action has an utility value, so action naturally leads to a consequence. So how can we do an action without concern of a consequence? How action is possible without consequence? So how the expectation of a consequence is wrong, because without consequence, how can we perform our action? Now the point is, expectation should not be misunderstood with orientation. Action should be consequence oriented. Action should be consequence oriented. Yes, we should have a orientation, we should have a direction, we should go in a particular direction, we should have a planning. But we do not expect the unseen consequences repeatedly, mathematically. We should not calculate such consequences. That means we should not spoil our attention, our energy in the imaginary consequences. Rather, we should focus on the cause, that is action, which is supposed to lead to the consequence. If the action is ignored anyway, if the action is not attained attentively, then it will lead to very wrong consequences. It will lead to very bad consequences, and we shall be responsible for that. Because many consequences are not under our control. This is our human tendency, that we love, we have a passion for overthinking about the consequences. Sometimes utilitarianism spoils our attention, our real attention. What shall be what shall I get? If I shall do this, what shall be my benefit? What shall be the consequences? Yes, we should think of that. That is orientation. But we should not spoil our orientation like expectation. Expectation is bad, but orientation is good. Now, what is the problem? Who is really acting? Who is the real agent of our action? We all here, human beings, have a body, and inside our body there are many biological functions, undertaking many biological functions, and among them the brain is also a biological instrument. We human beings are not disturbed by the constant function of other biological parts like heart, kidney, our digestive function. These organs are ever active, and they are engaged in this and that function. Our heart does not break. If it will break, we shall die. There is a constant engagement, constant functioning, but even the breathing system is there. We inhale and exhale all the time, but we are not disturbed by that. We never give attention to that. Rather we are ignorant of such functions. We do not attend. We are not conscious of the breathing system all the time. The moment I am conscious that I am breathing, that is meditation. That means I am attentive. That means I give attention to that function. Otherwise, it is there, and I am not aware of it. Such biological activities do not disturb us. But when the brain acts, when the brain functions, we are disturbed. The work of the function of a brain is to analyze, is to assimilate many ideas, is to give a conclusion, is to create certain ideas. This is the function of a brain. Brain is doing its work. If we are not disturbed by other biological parts where they are ever active, what happens to us when the brain is doing some function. Why we are becoming so brain oriented? Rather, we are not heart oriented, we are not breathing oriented, we are not kidney oriented, we are not digestive oriented, we have no other orientation. When the brain as a biological part is working, is doing its work, why we are so much worried? Yes, thoughts will come, thoughts will go. Thoughts will come, thoughts will go. Many thoughts will come, and thoughts will never stay. Thoughts will come and go. This is the natural process. As we are inhaling and exhaling, the process is going on. That is not constant. We do not inhale all the time. We inhale means after that we exhale. Similarly, a thought is coming, and next moment or after some days or some hours, that thought is also going. That thought is converted to another thought. So in that way, our brain is functioning. But what happens to us? It does not happen to animals. It does not happen to others. It happens to only human beings, that they are disturbed by particularly this biological part. And that is the human crisis. That means we have become brain oriented, we have become body oriented, we have become body conscious, and throwing, we are becoming the slave of our brain. Rather, we should master our brain. Though it is not that. Suppose we are sleeping. Suppose we are sleeping, and suppose 5 people have slept. If all of them will wake, they will not wake. Their wakefulness will not be same. They will wake with different degrees. Suppose five people are sleeping, and in the early morning, suddenly they all wake up, but they do not wake up in the similar way. The person A is waking in 1 degree of consciousness. The person B is waking up with another grade of consciousness. It is because they are conditioned by many physiological conditionings, physiological limitations. Their vasanas, their tendencies, their propensities. That means in Western tradition, we mistake consciousness as wakefulness. That is, wakefulness is not consciousness. That means that means if we shall give focus on wakefulness, then we shall become brain oriented. Okay, if we shall focus on consciousness, then we can transcend the brain activities. So in Western country, they think that there is no mind at all. Mind means only brain and memory. Brain and memory are equal with the mind. So they think if there is any consciousness, that is only wakefulness. But being awake of something, wakefulness is not consciousness, because consciousness is beyond wakefulness. If we shall give focus on wakefulness, that means we are brain oriented. But beyond brain, there is another element, that is consciousness, and because of that consciousness, brain is functioning. The brain does not function in a dead body. So this is the problem. That means that we have two choices: whether we shall be brain oriented, or we shall be brain neutral. Brain neutral may sound something illogical. Brain neutral means we can transcend our brain activities. That means we can be an observer of our biological activities, including brain. As we can, and doctors are doing that. Doctors are doing that. They not only observe, other biological aspects. They also, the neurosurgical doctors, they focus on the function of the brain. So brain can be observed. Brain can be observed. We can say a higher brain. If suppose we shall so much scientific in our approach, suppose we don't believe in soul, suppose we do not believe in consciousness, then we can say that that an abnormal brain can be observed by a highly programming brain, highly trained brain, a super brain, that is that the doctor or a seer. Similarly, in our daily life, when our brains are functioning and they are engaged in processing thoughts, can we observe the function of a brain or not? This is the question. If we can observe other biological activities and we pass judgment upon that, can we observe the thoughts of our thoughts or not? We are thinking about the other biological parts. Can we think about our thinkings or not? Can we think about our thoughts or not? This is the question. If we are able to think about our thoughts, then we can control our mind, we can control our brain, we can control our thinking. Rationalists aim to do that. Rationalists, they are dedicated for this job, but to some extent they are also trapped. They are also trapped because they become so analytical that also ends in another type of dogmatism. No, that is also not the way. That means we have to take brain, we have to take mind. Mind in our Indian context, we can take it mind and intellect. Mind, intellect, mana, buddhi, ahankara, all these can be observed by a higher self. Higher self means by a higher awareness, higher level of our higher consciousness. That means the higher self, the higher level of consciousness can observe the activities of the lower self, the lower level of consciousness. Therefore, we repent. We do something, and after 1 hour or after one day, we repent. Why did I do that? I should not have done this. Because we are misguided by our brain. We are misguided by our brain when we do not observe, when we do not transcend the brain activities. Why did I tell all these things? Because it all came from the Kamya Karma. That means when I am doing Nitya Karma, there is no problem. There is desire, but I take it lightly. I am not so involved, so entangled in that with that desire. When I am doing Naimitika Karma, there is no problem. I am doing that very comfortably, and I don't repeat that desire. But when I am doing Kamya Karma, we become attached to with a particular desire. We do not become attached with a desire while we are doing Nitya Karma. We are not attached with our desire while we are doing Naimitika Karma. But we are becoming attached with a desire when we are doing Kamya Karma. So that was the advice of Lord Krishna, that you don't fight here, taking fighting as your kamya karma. It is not your kamya karma. You don't fight only for the desire for fighting. If such desire will be there, then you are bound to follow the consequences of that desire. If your intention is to protect dharma, if your intention is to do your duty, you are doing something for lokasangha, then such problem will not come. That means we should understand desires come from thoughts, and thoughts come from brain. Brain or mind? Brain in the scientific sense, mind in philosophical sense. Philosophically we can call it mind, and scientifically, because they don't believe in mind, scientifically we can call it brain. Maybe be it brain or mind, they are engaged in thoughts, and when we repeatedly think about something, from that desires originate, and desires lead to actions. So whenever there is a desire, and I am getting attached with that desire, it means that I am a slave of, I am a party to that biological function of a brain. That means I fail to master, I fail to observe, I fail to witness the brain functioning. That is the problem. So that was the problem of Arjuna. That was not the problem of Lord Krishna. Therefore, I have told that there are three types of minds. The mind that fails to understand, the rational mind that is confused. Only a rational mind gets confused. That falls in Dharma Sankata, to do or not to do. What is right and what is wrong, to be, not to be. And there is a translational mind, transcendental, supramental consciousness in the language of Sri Aurobindo, that is beyond the rational polarities. That means the dialectics, this and that, thesis and antithesis. That mind is the transrational mind. So transrational mind means that we have to observe the function of mind. Yes, I shall see my desire, I shall experience my desire, I shall witness my desire. Yes, this desire is with me, but I have to think rationally. I have to take it seriously. Why such a desire came to me? What might be the cause? If we shall think deeply, we can find the cause. Oh, yesterday such things took place, or few days past, such things happened. Oh, from that this desire has originated. If we can understand this, we can change our minds. We can change our minds. We can change our thoughts. So by changing our thought, we can change the desire, and by changing the desire, we can change the action. That means expectations should not be misunderstood with orientation. That we should have a proper orientation for our every action. That if we are studying, we are studying for good results, and we are studying for the examination, and we have a planning for the future study. That is orientation. Expectation means unnecessarily, we calculate, we hang over with the imaginary consequences that may happen, may not happen. That is the fear of the consequences, fear psychosis. We should be free from that. Another point is that why we are getting attached to something. Many people say that the moment I am attached, the moment I love someone or love something, that means that is the sense of inclusiveness. That means that is they think I am attached to something means that is a merit point. That is my sense of inclusiveness. But that is not really the inclusiveness. Inclusiveness is not attachment. Attachment should not be misunderstood as inclusiveness. Rather, attachment is exclusiveness. Exclusiveness means exclusiveness means exclusively I desire this. That if I am if my thought is all inclusive, then my approach is holistic. Then my that there is no problem. That means I see the whole planning, the totality. But attachment is there. Attachment is the natural consequence of exclusiveness. Exclusiveness means among so many items, exclusively I desire this. That exclusiveness leads to attachment, and that is bad. But that exclusiveness does not harm us, does not put us in any trouble when we do our nitya karma or naimittika karma. That means exclusiveness leads to attachment. When we exclusively give preference to something. Suppose there are 50 students. A teacher should be all inclusive. If a teacher exclusively gives attention to a particular that student may be meritorious, that student may be brilliant. If he gives exclusive attention to a particular student, from that he will be attached. Similarly, in our daily life, there are so many duties, so many obligations, so many duties are there, so many obligations there. If we give exclusive attention to a particular duty, then naturally we shall neglect other duties which should be given equal attention. So that exclusiveness leads to attachment. That means we should have to understand this. Then why desire is natural, desire is helpful, desire is necessary, but why such desires bind me? Why such desires are becoming the cause of my bondage? Because out of many desires, I give exclusive attention to this particular desire. From that we develop likeness. Raga means raga is not krodha. Raga means attachment. Raga means likeness. Why should I like this? Why I like this? The reason is exclusively I give importance to this. So we should be free from exclusiveness. Then we can become all inclusive. Duty A should be performed in time 1. Then in time 2, duty B should be performed. In time 3, duty 3 should be performed. In time D, the duty 4 should be confirmed. But if we give exclusive attention to the duty one, then we cannot proceed to perform other duties because we have failed to become all inclusive. Suppose in our joint family there are so many. In a joint family, we live with many relations: grandfather, grandmother, husband, wife, children, brothers, wives of brothers, children of brothers. We live. A housewife should not give exclusive attention to a particular member of family, and now that is the crisis today. Why we are preparing nucleus family? Because we have become exclusive. We are excluded from the mainstream. We are excluded from the collective psyche. We are excluded from the social living. Therefore, we have become individualistic. Individualistic is that sense of exclusiveness has made us individuals. We are now individuals. We are far from society. Even if in a nucleus family there are husband, wife, and two children, in there also, if the wife gives exclusive attention to her husband, then that means she is not equally attentive to the children. Suppose she gives exclusive attention to the to one child, then the other child will be neglected, and that happens. Therefore, we are excluded from our old parents. Therefore, old parents now they prefer to live in old age home because we have living in such a culture, and we have made our habit in that way. So that sense of exclusiveness has an impact upon our status of desiring a thing. When we desire, out of many desires, we give preference, we give exclusive attention to a particular desire, and that is attachment. That is attachment. Then what happens? The more we attach to something, if it is not available in our life, if it goes away from us, the more it goes away from us, the more we feel dissatisfied, the more we feel frustrated. So now you see, our sense of exclusiveness is our own making, It is the mismanagement of our thought, and its results means, suppose I give exclusive attention to my wife, and the wife is not taking care of me, then the more she is detached from me, in spite of my exclusive attention, the more I become dissatisfied, the more I become frustrated. That means my frustration is due to my sense of exclusiveness. So we have to check, am I become exclusive or am I become inclusive? Vasundhaiva Kutumbakam means the whole world is a family. My country is my family. My state is my family. My town is my family. My street is my family. My joint family is my family. My nucleus family is my family. In this way, we can become, if we shall think in this way, we can develop the sense of inclusiveness, and from that sense of inclusiveness, the dynamics of desires will be different. So from the desire of a person, we can map his personality. What is his personality? We can describe, we can map, we can describe the personality of a person from his desires. Whether desire is selfish desire, whether desire is exclusive desire. From that desire, from the desires of a person, we can speak of the personality of that person. Therefore, the desire of a great man is not the desire of a common man. Desire is necessary, but what is the status of your desire? What is the status of your desire? So desire should be regulated. Desire should be regulated. Have that desire which does not create further desires. Therefore, we have to become spiritual. We have to go beyond our body, mind, intellect. We have to go beyond our brain. We have to go beyond our brain so that we can observe the brain activities as we observe the other biological activities. We can observe our brain activities. That means beyond body, mind, intellect, we have a soul, or if we shall not take that name soul or self, we are conscious. We are conscious means we have an ability to witness all these activities. That means there are two things, the observed and the observer. Observed and the observer. Where we are identified. Am I identified with the observed, or I am identified with the observer? If I am identified with the observer, then I am able to observe the activities of the observed. If I am identified with the observed, then I am trapped. I am trapped by my desires, I am trapped by my thoughts, I am trapped by my mind, I am trapped by my actions. I am trapped. If I go beyond that, beyond the biological activities, including brain, then I am the observer. See, the observer should not be identified. Observer should remain as the observer. Parents observe the activities of the children, remaining as parents. Parents do not become children. Parents can observe the activities of children because parents transcend the children. Parents are beyond the children. The consciousness of a parents is much higher than, much mature than the consciousness of the children. Therefore, the parents are the observer and the activities of the children are observed. Similarly, we have to observe the activities of our lower self. Lower self means the self which is identified with our body, mind and intellect. Body, mind and intellect in Indian tradition, and in Western tradition with brain. So we have to observe our brain activities. Here comes Niskama Karma. Now the question is, if desires are prompted from our thoughts, and thoughts are due to our likeness and dislikeness or attachment or vasanas or tendencies, and if we are able to observe all these causal series, then having all desires and having all activities, we have no activities. Biologically I am acting, but psychologically I am inactive. There are two possibilities. Sometimes our body remains inactive, but mind is too much active. Suppose when we think about something so deeply, our body is silent. Our body is silent, but mind is too much active. It is a possibility. Another possibility is that um, uh, our mind is silent, but the body is active. Two possibilities are there. Number one, body is silent, we are not doing anything. Suppose we are sleeping. When we are sleeping, our body is not doing anything, but we are dreaming, we are reacting in dream states. So there our mind is active. Even in the waking state also, when we consciously think about something, think about our PhD thesis, or think about any project, or thinking about a very serious decision in a family, at the moment of crisis, we sit silently. Sometimes we beg to remain silent. Don't disturb me. I want silence. Silence means my body is silent, but my mind is thinking. My mind is thinking. My mind is engaged in thinking. This is one possibility. The other possibility is that my mind is engaged in full of activities, but at that moment my mind is calm, my mind is peaceful. That means in the activities of my mind, in the activities of my mind, my body can remain inactive, and in the activities of my body, my mind can be inactive. I am repeating, when my bodies are full of action, my mind may remain calm, quiet, peaceful, joyful. This is one situation. And the other situation is my body is silent, my body is inactive, but my mind is full of activity. The great scientists, when they think about something in the laboratory, they don't dance. They sit. They sit. Their body is very calm. Their body is inactive, but they thinking seriously. Their mind is working. And another situation is that the body is active, but mind can remain inactive. But the point is, who is analyzing these dynamics? That my body is inactive, but mind is active. My body is active, my mind is inactive. Who is witnessing that? That means beyond my body and mind, there is a level of consciousness who can observe, who can witness the activity and inactivity and their reciprocal responses very attentively. That means there is a higher level of consciousness who can observe the activities of both body and mind. That yes, my body is full of active, full of functions, but mind is calm. And my mind is full of activities, my body is silent. That person is called the man of yoga. That person is called a yogi. Therefore, in the Bhagavad Gita, it says that Yogastha Kuru Karmani. It is a very nice declaration. Yogastha Kuru Karmani. Yogastha Kuru Karmani. That means what we naturally believe. First we do something. First we do an action. Then we try to become a yogi. Yogi means try to attain perfection. That I shall attain perfection through my action. I shall do something, I shall do something, and by that I shall become a yogi. But I am speaking here the reverse. I am speaking means the Gita is speaking the reverse. First become a yogi, then you can be able to do an action. Don't drive without fixing your wheels of your car. Suppose you are driving your car without fixing your wheels, without checking your wheels whether they are properly fixed or not, then you will meet the accident. Why there is what is the human crisis today? We are not established with that tranquility, that equanimity of mind. We start working with a disturbed mind. So Yogastha Kuru Karmani means first you become first you first you become established in that peaceful peaceful state of mind. Then your action will be perfect. That was not the situation of that was not the position of Arjuna in the battlefield. Arjuna was not a yogastha. Therefore, Arjuna had a confused mind. The mind which is not established in a perfect equanimity is not in the state of equilibrium. That mind gets confused. That mind stumbles on the way. That mind is put in dharma sankata. That means go beyond all confusions. Be established. Counsel your mind. Educate your mind. Culture your mind. Observe your mind. Observe your desires. Review your desires. Review your thoughts. Train your thoughts. Train your mind. And become a yogi. Become a yogi. Have a state of a yogastha. Be established in yoga. Be established. Let yourself be identified with yourself. What is ego? Ego takes place when the self out of a delusion becomes identified with body, mind and intellect. The self is self. The self is not my body. The self is not my brain. The self is not my mind. The self is not my memory, my intellect. But when out of a delusion, the self is wrongly identified with body, mind, intellect and memory, we develop a ego. I am doing this. I am doing this. This is mine. This is my house. This is my family. If I shall suffer from such consequence, that I sense develops when the self is detached from the self. The self is attached with body, mind, intellect and memory. That means that person is not established in the state of equanimity. So first you become a yogastha. Yogastha Kuru Karmani. Sometimes in our practical life, when we come from outside with an irritative mind and we try to say something, our parents say, sit, don't speak. You take a glass of water and you take some food, then you will speak. What does it mean? That means you calm down. First be passive. First be calm. First be free from your all reactions. Then you can think properly. Then you can think rightly. Similarly, in the classroom, I used to do that all the time. First, I take 5 minutes to make the students calm. That they will be free from their preconditionings and they will be ready to listen to their teachers. And that is the meaning of Upanishad. Upanishad means sit near the teachers with the mind of equanimity, with a peaceful mind. So Yogastha Kuru Karmani means first be established in yoga, first train your mind, first learn to be peaceful, joyful, then you can be able to do an action. So don't do any action with an agitated mind, with a confused mind, with a desire infected mind, with a tendency conditioned mind. Be act with a jogastha mind, jogastha mana, jogastha, be jogastha, then be qualified. Then you start acting something, and that action, that that qualification is desirelessness. Desirelessness does not mean that there is no desire. Desirelessness does not mean there is no action. There is action, there is desire, but you are not entangled with, you are not attached to such desires. You are free. That is akarma. That is the state of akarma. Akarma means the state of a peace and calm, the state of a equanimity, where there is no sense of agency. That is also translated by many interpreters as niskama karma. Niskama karma, that means you do something with a sense of orientation, not with a sense of expectation. You don't expect anything, because one desire, your one expectation, that will lead to so many desires, and you will be trapped by with that chain of desiring. So bikarma, that is scripture prohibited actions which we should not do, and the actions which are prompted by our propensities, proclivities, our tendencies, actions which are really reactions, we should not do that. And when we are coming to action, karma, there are three: nitya karma, naimitika karma, and kamya karma. We should do all our karma as we do our nitya karma and naimitika karma. As we are not attached while doing nitya karma and naimitika karma, similarly we should do all our duties in that sense. But problem takes place when we do something being motivated by, being biased by, being misguided by, being trapped by our chain of desires. That is kamya karma. So we have to become an observer. Observer means we have to go beyond our physical existence, psychological existence, intellectual existence. We have to go beyond that, and we have to transform from lower level of consciousness to a higher level of consciousness, and we have to train our mind to remain in a state of equanimity. And in that state, there will be no attachment with desire. There will be no sense of exclusiveness. There is no, there will be no type of trapping where we shall be free from. We shall have desire, but we shall be free from desires. Like water in the lotus leaf. There is lotus leaf. There is water. They exist together. They exist together, but there is a sense of a detachment. So tenatektana vanjita, that is the concept, that is the highest yogic sadhana. That attachment is necessary, but attachment through detachment, attachment through detachment, attachment through detachment. Do all actions, but you are free from your actions. Have desires, but you are free from your desires. That state of action is called akarma or niskama karma. In the next session, we shall discuss in details about niskama karma, that is action, bondage, and liberation. Next topic is action, bondage, and liberation. In that session, we shall discuss niskama karma in details. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor Pramod Das, for yet another nice lecture. It was really a very good lecture, and I really enjoyed the lecture. Now, if I look into the chat box, I find um, uh, A question. Exactly, it's not a question, as Professor Santosh Kumar Pal says that you during the course of your lecture you try to make a distinction between orientation and expectation, and you said, well, orientation is good, but expectation is it's not good, it's bad. So taking that into account, Professor Pal wants to have a clarification. One should be knowing that what are the fruits of the action that he is carrying on. In spite of knowing the fruits of the action, one should not be over obsessed about the fruits and continue the action. So that would be a right course of action, where you know what would be or what might be the fruits of action, but you're not concerned about the fruits of action, and you carry on the actions as per your duty, and give a positive orientation, a good orientation to your duties. So that should be the right course of action. That he says is clear from your lecture. So final comment on this, Professor Das.
I am grateful. I am grateful to Professor Pal. What I spoke, he spoke in a better way, and he has answered his question that we should not be over obsessed. Obsession is bad. Rightly, though we are well informed about the consequences, but we should not be over obsessed. Obsession is bad. That should be that will be our cause of bondage. That means I told in my language that mathematically we should not calculate the consequences. Suppose I can foresee the consequence, but I should not hang over. I should not think. I should not overthink that. Okay, I should not overthink that. My awareness of the consequence should not build a wall. Should not block my way in doing my duty. Okay, that should not obstruct my way. That should not be my enemy. That's okay. So orientation must be there, but if expectation is bad. Expectation is bad. Rather, we shall use a better word, that is orientation.
Okay, thank you, sir. That means the knowledge of the consequences in no way should bind somebody in carrying on with action. Well, there may be a knowledge of the consequences, but you should not be concerned about the consequences. You should carry on the duty with a sense of duty. Thank you very much, sir. We have a question by Manoj Kumar Samal. He says whether the desire for liberation a kind of liberation. Is the desire for liberation a kind of liberation, a kind of desire?
Hmm. Yes, that is a desire. Then that desire is called aptakamo. That is called the highest desire. That is called aptakamo. Suppose you are suffering from vomiting, and whatever you are eating, you are vomiting. Whatever you eat, you vomit. Still, then doctor prescribes certain medicines. That medicine, if you take this medicine, you eat that medicine, but you will not. That medicine will not be vomited. Okay, whatever you eat, you vomit. But when the prescribed medicine you take for vomit, you take that medicine, but you don't vomit. That means desire is not bad, but you regulate your desire, you monitor your desire, because we are all rational. We are not animals, we are rational animal. Therefore, we are able to rationalize our desire. We have to become master of our desires. Even we can handle so many desires at a time. Problem is that when you become too much exclusive for a desire. See, even if there are so many people, those are over obsessed for liberation. I am giving an example. I have heard that people go to Dwaraka and stay there for 15 days in the hotels, only to die there. If they think if they will die there, then they will go to heaven. So this is also a desire for liberation, but this desire is not the real desire for liberation. This is a desire. This is a dogmatic desire. Desire for liberation is apta kama. Apta kama. Therefore, in four purusharthas, dharma, artha, kama, moksha, moksha is also a desire. There are three types of desires: desire for dharma, desire for artha, and desire for moksha. And desire for moksha is called parama purushartha. That desire we should have. But I did not go to that extent. Very practically, I told that if we are able to observe our thought process, if we are able to observe the our desire process, then we have no problem. We can manage our desires. The problem is that we give exclusive attention to some desires and we neglect other desires.
Thank you, sir. The the desire for liberation is also a desire, but that desire should not bind us. That should not limit us. Okay,
That desire does not create further desires. We
that
should
should not
nourish
create further
we
desire.
should nourish we should nourish that desire which does not. For example, I gave an example. In the early morning daily I am brushing my teeth. I have a desire, but after brushing my teeth I don't desire to brush my teeth again and again. But when I am taking a delicious food, I desire to take that food again and again. So what is the difference between this desire and that desire? In one case, I am trapped by my desire. In the other case, I am free from my desire. So have a desire, regulate them, master them, then there is no problem. You are trapped by your desire. That is the problem. You are not trapped by others' desire. You desire and you get trapped by your desires. And your desires are always contemporary, because instantly we desire. My desire is not my past desire. Now I desire. So now I can check my desire. Now I can monitor my desire. Now I can transcend my desire. The problem is there, we do not observe our desire. So in order to observe our desire, we have to transcend desires. We have to be conscious. We have to conscious. As we monitor the desires of our children, our children have so many desires, but they are trapped by their desires. Therefore they become obstinate to fulfill their desires. But we transcend their desires. Therefore we can observe, we can monitor, we can advise them, no, this desire is bad, this desire is good. Similarly, in ourselves also there are different levels of consciousness. The higher consciousness should guide the lower consciousness.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for your nice response. So, desire for liberation is a desire, but that desire should not limit us, should not bind us, should not trap us. It should make us rather free one. Okay, it should make us free. So that's the message that you have given. Now he has another question. Manoj Kumar Samal, he has another question. Whether in Bhagavad Gita, the sort of liberation that is being talked of, whether it accounts to Jivan Mukti or Videha Mukti.
Both jivana mukti first. Jivana mukti is the sadhana in jivana. Jivana mukti means mukti in jivana. Mukti, that means to live freely. Videha mukti is beyond our experience. We cannot demonstrate that. We can't prove that. Scientists or the materialists or the rationalists, they will never accept that they will say that is unscientific. So we shall not go to that Videha Mukti. But Jivana Mukti is very practical. Jivana Mukti means live freely, live with a free mind, live without being trapped by your desires, without being trapped by your own networks. That is Jivana Mukti. Very common, very simple way we have to understand. Live freely because the highest asset of human being is his freedom. Even in the crisis, anything can be taken away from us. Anything. But nobody can take away the sense of freedom, how to respond to that situation. This asset cannot be taken away by anybody. So man is blessed with his own freedom. But we are we have that asset, but in practice we are not free. So living freely in this practical life, in our surroundings, whatever we have to be satisfied with that, and we should regulate our desires. We have to minimize our desires. That is the solution. We must have desires, but we have to minimize our desires, and we have to be free from our desires, free from our actions. That is Jivana Mukti.
Thank you for the response. So your response shows well there may be a Vidya Mukti as an undercurrent in the teachings of Bhagavad Gita, but the real idea that is contained, that the message that we have from Bhagavad Gita is the Jivan Mukti. That means the liberation while in life. Well, Vidya Mukti is not ruled out. That may be at the base, that may be in the background, but the more emphasis that we find from the teachings of Bhagavad Gita is the Jivan Mukti, leading a life of freedom, free from any sort of bondage, free from say all sorts of predispositions and vikarmas. So that is a positive orientation that we can find in the message of Bhagavad Gita. Thank you very much.
Even from views, even from regimes, even from region, this region, that region, we should be free from our rationality too. We have to go beyond that,
Okay, done. Thank you.
and that is beautifully explained in Jaina system.
Okay, done. Thank you. Now we have, well, I don't have a question. Well, it is a compliment by Manas Das, where he says, well, you talk very nicely about Nishkama Karma as an action that is free from the desires for the fruits of action, very nicely explained. So it's a compliment and he thanks you. Very nicely done. Thank you. So I don't see any other question in the chat box.
Sir, hello.
Carry on, sir. Huh?
Sir, so now it is time for your concluding remark.
Huh.
So we are perhaps getting late. So if there is no other question, so please conclude. Please summarize.
Okay, done. Thank you. So
We love that. We love that.
well, we don't see any other question. I don't see any question in the chat box. Well, these are the concluding remarks on the entire talk of Professor Das. Well, he was assigned with the title to speak on karma, vikarma, and akarma. Well, his main focus was on karma, and then he made a shift to akarma, and very nicely he made a transition. So when in the beginning of the talk, he started with akarma as the wrong actions or the bad actions or those actions that are prohibited by the scriptures or by the society. So this sort of action or the actions that are guided by say the past dispositions or bad memories or the actions that are guided by lobha or anger. So these are all say he categorizes them under vikarma. And when coming to karma, he takes yes in the light of Bhagavad Gita, karma means all the positive actions, all the good actions, and again he categorizes very nicely. Well, there is a categorization, but the explanation to this categorization was excellent in his talk when he categorizes karma into nitya karma, naimitika karma, and kamya karma. Well, when he talks of nitya karma and naimitika karma, he says, well, these are karmas that we do, but these karmas will, in some way or the other, these actions of the dawn. So somehow, once Nitya Karma is done, it is done. It has an end for that day. And similarly, when he talks of Naimitika Karma, it's an occasional action that also terminates once the activity is done. That some way or the other that will bind you. So, having said this, he spoke of he makes a distinction between an orientation in ourselves and an expectation in the mind. It always talks of, well, we are having a certain sort of consequence in mind, but we should not bother about that consequence. Rather, we should try to orient our actions in a manner that would generate a good for the society or for the well-being of many, or the greater interest of a large section of people. So he's having said this, he tries to see himself or the human system as something bodily, and he talks of the control over one's breathing, or say one can think of the functioning of the heart. Then he talks again of the functioning of the brain, and he says, well, we have an apparatus to even look into the activities of the functioning of the mind. So we should not end up with mind. There is still an instrument that can be over the functioning of the mind. Okay, so he talks of, he raises a question whether we can transcend or whether we can monitor the functioning of our brain activities. Okay, or say in other words, whether we can train our mind, whether we can orient our mind, or whether we can have a control over the functioning of the mind or the brain. So he says, well, that can be done, but that is possible. That is possible when, well, and that should be the role of a super mind or a higher conscious entity that is over and above the mind, to control, to look into the activities of the mind. And by doing so, he says, one can change the dimensions of the mind, one can change the desires that are there in the mind, one can change the thoughts in the mind, and can give a positive orientation to the thoughts and desires, wherein there is just an orientation, and in such an orientation there is no expectation. So this is a very good take from taking something over and above the mind to look into the functioning of the brain activities. So that's how whatever the brain thinks, whatever the activities go on in the brain, whatever the mind thinks, so that can even be controlled by something, an agency, a sort of consciousness above the mind. Okay, so it's a very good take from your lecture that there can be something in the light of even Sri Aurobindo, we can think of a super mind controlling the activities of the mind. So that is a good take from your lecture. Now again, you spoke of our attachment, mainly coming out from our attention to some exclusive feature that is available around us. Not that we are inclusive to all. When we are inclusive, well, there is no attachment. It is only when we pay a sort of exclusive attention towards something, we generate a sort of attachment to that very thing, and that would lead to giving rise to a birth of feeling of say a certain sort of desire, and finally that would bind you to that very thing, and that will keep you unmoved. That will put you in a sense of bondage, and you will feel really bound by that. Not and you feel yourself as if you are chained. So that's why he says, well, he says exclusiveness to something is very dangerous, because that generates a lot of attachment, and getting rid of that is really a very difficult task. So he suggests people to be more inclusive, to be say more inclusive to something, so that you don't get attached to a particular entity or a particular event or a particular person. So that's how you don't get attached. So he says, uh, to justify that there is something sort of over consciousness or sort of super mind over the mind. He says, he talks of a scenario where he talks of the mind being active and the body is not, and the mind being inactive and the body is. So he says, by taking this dichotomy of mind and body, he tries to justify that, well, we can understand this, we can know this. How we are able to know? Well, my body is active, my mind is sleepy today, my mind is somehow not active today. So we are able to know this. How this is possible? This is possible because there is a functioning of a super consciousness over and above the mental activities. Because without that consciousness over and above the mind, we cannot think of the mental activities. So having said this, very nice take that we can have is, well, the mental activities, well, not only the bodily movements, the bodily activities that can be controlled, it is even the mental activities that can be checked, that can be controlled, that can be brought into that can be given an orientation, a sort of direction, so that we find ourselves free every moment rather than getting bound to something. So that's how this very line brings a lot of importance from this lecture. That is, having a sort of entity over and above the mind to control the activities of the mind. So this is a very good thing, because it is only on assuming this we can think of controlling the activities of the brain. And we can think of controlling the brain. How can we control the brain if there is no entity that is over and above the brain to control the activities of the brain? So very nice line from your lecture. It just really helped us in understanding the technique of controlling the mind. And another good take that you have said is, normally we think that we should perfect our lives through action. But you said very nicely, you have said, well, Bhagavad Gita speaks it otherwise. Because in the earlier lecture and also even today, you said that we have led a life of many years. We are actually not acting, we are reacting. This also just is justified if we go on with this idea that fix up yourself to be a yogi first, and once you fix yourself to be a yogi, then whatever you do is an action, because that action will be a perfect action. So very nicely done, sir. Very nicely. This is another good take from your lecture. Not that whatever actions that we carry, they are really actions. Very nicely, you have tried to justify this point, that our actions, so the so-called actions, are in a real sense are reactions. But if you go by the lines of Bhagavad Gita teaches us, try to be a yogi first. Once you are a yogi, whatever you do, whatever actions that you carry, they are perfect. They will never bind you. They will rather liberate you. So that's how you brought in somehow the idea of akarma, wherein a yogic action is a real action where there is no desire, because a yogi being a perfect man, where what do you say? There is no concern for any sort of desire. There is only a concern for the duty. Okay, there are no consequences that are pondered into. So yogic action is a real action, because you are not pondering over the fruits of that action, and you are simply concerned about your action. So that's how you are concerned about your duty. You're concerned about your swadharma. So that's how you are on a path that do not that does not bind you, rather liberate you in every moment. So that's how you have tried to just see karma from three angles of vikarma, karma, and akarma. So you nicely mentioned that karma is
Not audible, sir. Not audible. You are not audible, sir. Hello, Dr. Rao. You are not audible.
Pramod, not audible. Let me. Hello, Pramod sir. Hello, Pramod sir. Hello, Pramod sir. Just join.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Hello. Yeah. Now I request Sonulata Madam to propose vote of thanks.
yes, my internet connection
Oh,
was
sir,
bad,
Sarkem,
and now
Sarkem.
well I request well you have already said now our to Swarnalata Tripathi Madam for proposing a over to Swarna Madam for proposing a vote of thanks.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Namaskar to all. I thank all the participants for being with us in the lecture series of the Bhagavad Gita. Today we had a beautiful session. I extend my deep sense of gratitude to all the participants for their presence and participation. I thank the speaker of the session for delivering a beautiful talk, dynamics of karma, vikarma, and akarma. In one sentence, we can say that we should avoid and overcome vikarma by doing karma with the sadhana of akarma or niskarma karma. I thank Dr. Rao sir for giving a beautiful concluding remark at the end of the session. Wisdom Forum is highly grateful to Dr. Rao sir. He is the real inspiration behind the screen of all success. I thank you all. We shall meet again next Saturday with a new topic. Thank you. Pranam.
Thank you, madam. Thank you. I also thank you for all these activities under the banner of Wisdom Intellectual Forum. Thank you very much. Now this webinar is closed. So, wish to see you all in the next webinar. Thank you all. Now the webinar is closed.